Welcome to the 2350 Effect.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, or wherever you're at, and welcome to the 2350 Effect. And I'm excited tonight. I'm your co-host, Damian Kinsey, the co-host and co-creator of the 2350 Effect, and also the co-host and co-creator of the 2350 Network. And here's my other co-host, collaborator, partner. Introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tanya Farron. Excited to be here tonight, like I always am on Sunday nights. It's just such a great way to start the week, end the week, however you want to look at it. But excited about our guest tonight and for being here. Have so loved being a part of this with you. So, such a great collaboration together. Bringing you good stuff coming your way on a Sunday night. So get cozy. And what we'd like for you to do is make sure that you drop in the chat hello, tell us where you're from. This is interactive with our audience. So as we're going through and talking and asking our guests some questions, feel free to ask questions yourself or to drop in some great positive comments for our guests.
Definitely. And you know what I'm excited about? Last time you wasn't here when we had these two amazing ladies here on our takeover show. As you would see if you haven't seen the last one, this is the hard truth about entrepreneurship, part 2, beliefs. And we had these two ladies here. It was a great show. It was a big show. We had a lot of positive feedback to the point where we had to bring them back again. This is probably like 5.5, almost 6 months in the making. This conversation. We have two amazing guests. We have Brenda Leese and Kinga. Brenda Leese is a mom. She's an entrepreneur. She has made the leap and the jump from corporate America to entrepreneurship. She owns her own business. She does a lot of breath work, coaching, and she does a lot of work on collaboration and support around burnout and also getting your mind right and having those beliefs challenged and getting you in the right headspace and go, just like Kinga said. And we have Kinga, who is amazing as well. She does a lot of work and support with project management, getting leaders to get out of their own way to build their team around the next level of innovation, technology, and also looking at that data-driven, people-centered support. She's also a board member. She's also, I think you write for Forbes Online now, Kinga. She's involved in so many other groups. Both of them were blessed. We were blessed with their presence to be on the Virtual Wellness Summit. They both were in the Virtual Wellness magazine. Kinga and Coach B, which is Brenda Leese, was both on the Virtual Wellness Summit. And we're blessed to have them here for this conversation on the hard truth for entrepreneurship. Welcome to the 2350 Effect. And you're 2350 members as well, right? Correct. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Did I miss anything?
That was so excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, no, great introduction. And they did. So, they were on our show when we were doing the virtual wellness show, kind of. We didn't really have an official name for it, and I couldn't come. And I said, Damian, you're going to have to take the show over and just do it. And he said, I've got the perfect two people to do it. And so he had brought them on. So I didn't get to be here a part of that, but have been able to collaborate and get to know these two ladies very well and have enjoyed them. So happy that they could come back and that I could be a part of the conversation tonight. So really looking forward to that.
And that's back on the show. It's called Getting Ready. So now we're already ready and we're in the effect, the 2350 effect.
That's right.
Before you introduce yourself and talk and go into stuff, we always start the show off with all right. If you have been watching the 2350 Effect, we always start off with laugh, call, text during the week. What is that thing that made you either laugh, call, or text someone? Since you're your guest, who would like to go first? Matter of fact, Dr. Farron, you go first. Why they think? They look like they're in their thinking phase. When
He
I get
always
that
makes
thought,
me
that
go
thinking
first.
face, I get the angry face. They get the thinking face. Cool.
Well, this is just kind of a funny thing that happened this weekend. I'm at our lake house, kind of like a cabin-ish, and we heard a rustling. There's a crawl space under our house. We kind of heard a rustling, and my husband had gone outside with a broom, and I thought, what are you going to do with that broom? And he's like, well, I don't know. I just need something to defend myself. I'm not sure what came out from under the house. And so we ignored it. The next morning, he saw that it was a fox. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was sitting on the couch, and what came across our deck and came and looked in the window was the fox. That's kind of funny, kind of scary, kind of funny. So I'm not really sure what we're going to do. I'm like, well, what do we do about this? He's like, I'm not really sure. So we had a fox under our house this weekend. I hope
Yeah,
he finds
they usually run off. They don't really bother people.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, let's continue that.
Nothing like a little wildlife.
That's right. That's right. Yikes. Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
All right. Who else had King? Are you ready? You got a laugh, call, or a text? Did you think of something?
I watched a movie last night, and it hit a couple funny chords with me, maybe because I was tired and I just really needed like a good kind of slapstick movie. I want to say it's new on Netflix. I think it's called like French Girl or something. And but it had like this scene in it where, speaking of animals, and this swan kept, just like this angry swan kept chasing the guy, but it was cracking me up because I grew up also in a rural area. So you just triggered that memory of me last night where we're out of nowhere, and the swan is chasing this character in the movie. And every time, he's leaving this part of the house in an unfamiliar part of town, visiting his girlfriend's parents, he was like, the swan's waiting for him. And it was just kind of this funny, part of the movie. And it cracked me up every time. And it's just because it's out of nowhere, kind of ad lib. So that just, I thought it was hilarious. It just struck that funny chord. I love
That's it. Good. You probably needed a good laugh.
Yeah,
that's good.
I did.
I can go next.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something with wild animals, but I'll leave that for another moment. We just recently changed our phones from Verizon to T-Mobile. I'm not making any promotion here whatsoever. And I had to go to the store. They were sending me my phone home, and then I would have to set it up and I'd go to the store and return the old phone. I could go to the store or send it by mail. So I decided to go to the store and drop it. There were probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clients before me. I walk in the store with my daughter, and all of a sudden, one of the guys comes in to another girl and me, and he asked, I just want to know what is it that you guys need, just to make sure that we'll put you in the list, etc., etc. So he asked me, I said, I'm just dropping the phone. And he said, oh, I think I can take it and you don't have to wait. There were 2 other people in the store that apparently had been there for a long, long time. They exploded crazy. And I looked at my daughter, and the guy came, pick the phone from our hands. And I looked at my daughter, and we just literally ran out of there for dear life. We were just cracking up because it was like, okay, we came here. It was like everything was in alignment with us. The other 2 people were in the store, like making a complaint. And I'm like, nope, we're gone. Boom. When we went to the car, we sat down and we were just laughing, because for us, it was like, okay, what did I steer up just by saying, I'm just dropping this phone? I steered like a lot out of those 2 people. But anyway, it was funny though. I'm sure for them it wasn't, but for me it was.
Yeah, you did the right thing. Steer clear out of there.
Ooh, we ran out of there. We looked at each other and we were like, both of us got the message. We ran out of the store.
Love that. My laugh, call, or text was, I was watching USA basketball against France. yesterday and today. So the men's team played yesterday, and the women's team played today against France. And it was a great game. Both games went down basically to the wire. If you know anything about basketball, they were both unbelievable finishes. And that was my laugh call text because I had to reach out to my cousin and like, did you see that? Welcome some people. Jackie, thank you for showing up. Shantae, Brett, thank you for showing up. Randy, thank you for being here. Welcome. Coach Lee, thank you for showing up as well. Nora, thank you for showing up. Someone says, hi, Damien, LinkedIn user. I have that same problem as LinkedIn user. I normally put a dash in my name so we can acknowledge. Willie J, welcome. Mandy, welcome. Kelly, welcome. Dr. Marcia, welcome. Chris, welcome to the 2350 effect in this conversation. Thank you for showing up. Dr. Farron, you want to get into it? Dive into it?
Oh my gosh, yes. I want to talk about this because it's an amazing topic, the hard truth about entrepreneurship, part 2. Part 1's a long time ago, but part 2, I guess I didn't really ever consider myself until probably the last year and a half an entrepreneur. I don't know why, but I really didn't ever consider that. And I was actually just thinking today, like, what led me, like, the book, and again, I'm going to my education background. The book, if you give a mouse a cookie, right? You give a mouse a cookie and then he's going to want a glass of milk, and then he's going to want this, and then he's going to want that. And I was thinking about my own entrepreneurial journey that started out with writing a cookbook and starting my company, Creative Living Ideas. I started with a cookbook, and then my next book was my parenting book. And then came all the parenting courses, and then came the self-care courses and the self-care journals, and then the work-life balance. And it just grew. And it started with like a single connection on Facebook. I had one person on Facebook who connected me to, I'm losing my, oh my gosh, what is the group that's like that was on our phone, the app? Anyway, it was a social media conversation where you could set up a room. You had your room, Clubhouse. She invited me to Clubhouse. Sorry. So she invited me to Clubhouse. And then we've never really connected, but she invited me to Clubhouse, which then invited me to this, which then got me to LinkedIn, which then got me to, and I was thinking of that journey and not really realizing that in that process, I was becoming an entrepreneur. So with that being said, what made you all choose to become an entrepreneur, to start your own path? And, you may not, like me, I didn't really think about it. You might need a minute. I don't know.
Hi, Candy. Hi, Sandy, and hi, Tina. And while they think about it, I've never been on Clubhouse, ever.
No?
I do know
Ever.
that. You and I have talked about that. Mm-hmm.
I'm with Damien on that. Never. No idea.
My first time in Clubhouse was maybe a couple of months back once, and then literally I've been back like 2 times in the last week. That's it. So you're not alone.
It was different. It has definitely changed. They changed some platforms, but it's amazing how your journey, when you look at your journey, my journey started in 2020. It's been 4 years. And when you look at where you began and where you are, so what made you decide, Brenda Lees, we'll start with you. Like, what made you choose to be an entrepreneur? Tell people a little bit about your story.
So I lost my job in 2022. And when I lost my job in 2022, I was in the process of, I knew for the last maybe 6 years before that corporate was no longer like the place for me. I wanted to do other things. I just had never taken the time to create the path or the plan. And when I lost my job, I went back to job hunting in the market, like back to the market to job hunt. And I realized it didn't feel correct. It felt like it wasn't in alignment with me. And that's when actually my healing journey began. And that's when I said, no, I'm not going back. I'm just going to do this. If I don't do this now, then it will be 10 more years. And then like I would have lost 10 years of my life, that I was going to be doing something that probably wasn't in alignment with me. Because part of me was saying, well, go back, do the job, and then build your business, and then you quit. But once I knew that I was going to go back, I knew like the roles I was applying were high intensity roles. So it wasn't going to be so easy for me to do both. So when I made that decision, I remember I had left my house for 17 days. I went on to take a course and do some healing, and I came back home, and my husband was asking me about the job hunting, and he looked at me, and I said, I'm just going to tell you what I have in my mind and what I learned during the last 17 days. He looked at me when I started to talk, and he said, oh shoot, you're not going back to corporate. And I looked at him and said, nope, I'm not going back. And that conversation was in November of 2022. That's when I made the decision of not going back to corporate. And within a month, basically within 5 weeks, I was launching my business. So I went all in, and I'm like, I don't have a plan B. So this is plan A, and plan A and I don't have a plan B.
That's awesome. Incredible. Kinga, how about you?
Yeah. Well, first, I'd like to thank Brenda Lee, because she had me on her show. And so we had a great time having this conversation. And I love kind of thinking about this, because I think so many people are going through this journey right now. We're at such a pivotal point, just I think in history. And a lot of us are feeling this empowered movement, which is fantastic, right? And I appreciate coaches like all of the people here tonight to represent that and help us get through that, because everyone here has helped me in my own journey. So I, was somebody who was a vice president corporate. Of course, here we are talking about that. And I was vice president of project management. And so I was helping people move through problems at a pretty fast rate, learning how to become mobile and organizational alignment around company goals. And when you look at life and any kind of situation that we're trying to move through, that's pretty much the same thing. It's applicable anywhere. And so I was taking these concepts and I'm iterating on this constantly, thinking this is going to apply no matter where I carry forward in life. And I'm very passionate about this topic around bringing people together in a healthy way. The way that we work together matters to me. And the way that we can become successful, the way that we can celebrate one another, the way that we can tap into the resources that we have to offer, the way that we choose to do that in a healthy way is really important to me. That community feeling is so, to me, aligning around it is really the way that we're going to be able to get things done. And so this has been kind of boiling for me. And, this is the character, these things, behaviors in a system are the essence of what make things work. And it really, the rest of it is just work. It's a body of work that we choose in terms of business. And so taking that passion of mine, I knew that someday I'd want to do something else bigger with that. I didn't know what it was going to look like exactly, but I was gearing up in my life that it would be something. And so with turns of events, here I was about a year and a half ago, trying to navigate, where am I going to land in life? I knew that corporate wasn't for me either. Similar to Brenda Lee's, I was like, this just doesn't feel good for me anymore. This isn't where I really belong anymore. And I really want to gather people that feel similar to where I'm kind of drawn to. And so how can I make a bigger impact? So,
Right.
yeah.
So both of your journeys started around the same time
Yeah.
together, and that is amazing. I feel like when ideas or things like, Brenda Lee started her business literally in 5 weeks, right? Said 5 weeks, I've got a plan, I've got it. When it comes to you and you just have to act on it. And when it comes flooding in. I remember the day that I started the Work-Life Balance Summit last year. It was in the summer, and I stepped away and I literally wrote down everything. It just came flooding in. I pen and paper, wrote down everything that I wanted, what I wanted to look like, who I wanted to come, wrote the schedule out, like when it just comes pouring in, I really believe that's when it's really supposed to happen for you, right? I remember when I did my first one of my first wellness journals, we were riding in the car on the way home. And I just said, I need to write this down right now. Like, I've got this idea I want to do right now. I'm texting my team on the way home and saying, I have this idea. I want to do this, and the thing that I love that I know that you all have really expanded on is your collaboration of ideas together, and that networking piece, sharing ideas, lifting each other up. We're looking at females here who are starting their businesses together, lifting each other up, which I think is pretty incredible. Like,
Yeah.
talk about that relationship for the two of you guys. What have you been, working on or sharing with each other?
Well, I think it's so important that our generation and future generations see that, when your heart is genuine and that you want somebody to succeed and that you're driven in first that desire, right? Like, I am genuinely happy when I see anyone here
Yes.
succeeding, and not just anyone here, even strangers, but especially as I get to know and love you all more and more, and I believe in who you are, and I know that your intentions are for the greater good and things that I believe in. Then it's very easy for me to want to invest my time and energy and love and care into this group and to want to nurture that. And so much of, I think, when we're talking about trust economy and all these things, it's an energy exchange. And I'll let Brenda Lees take all of that. But I do believe in we have these exchanges, and we've so much related things to financial exchange. And I think that now we're starting to see that, there's money, power, whatever, but there's still so much more. And it is about where our heart, our energy, our love, our passion, things like that. And there's still so much more to give, and that people want that, they crave that. We have the hierarchy of needs and the hierarchy of motivations and all these things that are just so critical to what brings us together, our consciousness. And if we don't nurture that and don't build those foundations of support, we kind of fall apart. And it's so nourishing, and we know that if we just kind of kickstart, there's just some kickstarters that need to happen, and you can pour in if that 1 + 1 = 3 kind of effect, the 2350 effect. It's things like this to me that if we see the power of it and the exponential that can happen, then we really believe that it's true. I'm a little woo, I'll admit it, but I'm also very data driven, and I do believe in being data and reverse engineering things. And I know for a fact that there is reverse engineering truth to all of this. I've experienced it. I've done it. And so there's no doubt in my mind that this works.
Mhm.
I'll add a couple of things. I'll say that coming from 24 years in corporate, I was so used to going to networking events, everything company driven. I had a big network, right? Um, when I did the jump into entrepreneurship, it shifted, it changed completely. Now nobody's pushing me. I have to push myself. And as a result, I'm the one in charge of that network. And for me, you guys see me as someone who's bubbly, someone who is very energetic. But for networking, for me, it takes a lot of pushing myself beyond my comfort zone, because that's where I tell people that's the introvert in me. Like that first step, like once I know the person, it's okay, it's perfectly fine. But like that threshold of being in very uncomfortable places, it's very difficult for me. So when I did the jump to entrepreneurship, I had to push myself to expand my network because I didn't get a transition. I wasn't working on a plan before I did the jump. So I jump into entrepreneurship, and all of a sudden I'm like, my old network, it's okay, but now I need a new network of people who are going to support my growth. And that's when I met Damien, I met you, Dr. Tanya, I met Kinga. And I got to say, participating in events like the summit that we participated earlier this year has a huge impact, and it did had an impact on me because I was able to connect with Damien and Kinga in a very different way. Even towards the end, we were like, okay, how are you going to present? What are you going to present? I remember having like conversations with Kinga 1 or 2 days before the summit. Like we were aligning and sharing with each other and supporting each other on what we were going to present and how we were going to do it. And I think that's the beauty about entrepreneurship, is that you're not tied into a market or a company type or anything like that. Like your network goes beyond what you would ever imagine.
I like that you said that because it's funny because this actually came about because when me, you, and Kinga and Brenda Lease, when we talk for like hours. Like we're on a live for hours, like, and not a live that is recorded and streamed. Like after the hard truth of entrepreneurship, the first time we probably talked for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Then we were in the virtual campus. Well, I would like to say the other day, but it was a couple of weeks ago, and we were on there for like almost 2 hours. And then me and Kinga started talking for like 45 minutes. And then we was like, let's just do this and talk about beliefs. Because we were having this conversation and I was talking about, you asked me kind of about the summit and where the direction was and going. And I made the comment of, and it was kind of how I framed it. And then I thought about it and reflected afterwards. You was like, well, it's beliefs. And I was like, maybe I framed it a little bit wrong, but it was maybe the energy and approach, because I really was talking about anything you do on the front end. If you're building a nonprofit, you're building an organization, you're building a company, you're being an entrepreneur, all the work you do on the front end will never equate to whatever dollar amount you get on the back end, because you did all this work on the front end, whether it's your preparation, your dream, your thought, your planning and put together, you putting it on paper, you facilitating, getting the right picks. And I love having a conversation with all of y'all, Dr. Farron included. And I wish you was able to be a part of it, but you were actually on vacation, which is great. And having these conversations, because I like having individuals around me who get it. And it's effortless when we have these conversations because we're sharing and exchanging information, and no one is guarding it like, I don't want them to outdo me or anything. It's
Yes.
all about helping each other and supporting each other, and it's organic. So I love talking to y'all and having conversations with y'all, because as much as I give to y'all give me back, because I really had to think about what Brenda Lease was saying, like belief, and I realized that there's a layer of me that I wasn't tapping into, and for a little while, and I was like, you know what, I got to tap back into that person. So I thank you for that.
I feel like it was fun because I almost felt like we were turning into school kids that were competing but more almost who could help each other more. Like we turned into like, oh yeah, well, I could show you this. Oh yeah, well, I could show you this. And so it was fun, like when have you been so excited to collaborate with your friends that you're trying to top each other and who can help each other more? And that you're like, what problem do you have? Oh yeah, well, I can solve that problem, and if the world were more creating more spaces like that, what do you have? I can solve that. How fun to do that with your
Right.
friends.
And that is definitely when Damien and I got back together to meet after your all's first encounter together that night. He was like, oh my gosh, I have so much to tell you. We have so much to do. I mean, I'm serious. That's where he was like, I have a list. Like these two. And you know what? That to me was like the coolest thing in the world. Was like these two ladies sat and met with Damien to help brainstorm ways that we could be more successful. Like, tell me that's just not the coolest thing in the world. I was like, okay, what'd they tell you? And then he's writing and I'm writing things down. And he's like, he told us to do this. They told us to do this. I mean, it was incredible, and I love that. I think the collaboration is amazing. And yeah.
I think when you have full trust and you don't take it defensively, that we are rooting for your success. That we in no way are, we love and support everything you do. We're grateful. We think you're amazing. And anything that we come up with is because we're brainstorming. We felt like collaborative partners because
Yes.
everything at the virtual summit was such a positive experience for us too. And so we knew that you were investing in us. We knew that our opinion was appreciated and welcome. And so we felt safe to offer that. And so we felt very excited to be like, all right, well, let's problem solve. Or there's not even a problem. As a matter of fact, let's get creative, right? And that's, to me, innovation. And that is the space that a lot of people can't even get past defensiveness, let alone innovation. You're not inspired when you're worried about someone being defensive, let alone inspired, right? And Damien opened up an inspiring space for us.
I want to add to what Kinga said. I think there was a lot of respect between all of us. Like we felt it was a safe space where we could say anything. And even if, let's say I would bring something and then Kinga would say, but what about this? Like she would easily improve on it, right? Or, oh, have you thought about these other things? Are you guys doing this other thing? Like the way that the conversation happened, it was very organic, very natural, and it wasn't forced, and it was filled with a lot of respect and value. And I think each one of us recognized that each one of us had something different to bring into the table, and we were okay with that. And for me, it was hilarious because I think I told this to Kinga later. I felt like I had not been in a space like that ever since I left corporate. Because in corporate, like I would be thinking about a crazy idea. I would just stand from my desk, go 2 doors down, have a conversation with someone. And then it's like, okay, the idea now became a full-blown project. And now we have resources tied into it and blah, blah, blah. But like, or if I had a roadblock, I would then go to another person, and then like we would support each other and you knew where to go. But in entrepreneurship, it takes building that network and knowing what are the different skills that people in your network have that can help you, and finding people like Kinga, like Damien, like Dr. Tanya, that, hey, let's jump on a call, and let's brainstorm, let's talk. Like that, when you find them, treasure them, keep them close, because those are the people those are your people. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And Ray, we're definitely going to answer this question. This is definitely a multi-layered question. We do have that ready to go. And I agree before we're gonna get into a few things, so a few housekeeping things. I agree 100% with Brenda Lee's. The whole purpose of the 2350 network is to have versatility within the network, and the same thing with the summits. This like the network and the summit isn't like, I'm gonna give a wild example so people can know so they don't get offended or anything. Um, you have particular summits or networks that are specifically the left-handed summit, the left-handed network. This summit is a multi-layered summit. All the virtual wellness summit was a multi-layered summit. It has so many experts from different fields. So we had no choice but to, because we wanted to also, because we created the dynamic that way in a framework, that we have people who are expert in their field. And when they gave information, we had no choice but to listen because that's what we wanted. That's why it was engineered that way to have people to be able to do their thing and be great at and highlight what they do well and learn from each other instead of having it down, like drilled down to, and I'm use the terminology again, the left-handed summit, where, one person's more left-handed than the other person. And we're like, you know what? All right, I've been left-handed for all my life, and you've been left-handed for 20 years of your life. I know more than you, so I'm not going to listen to you. So we created the summit where we had so many people doing so many different things that we wanted to learn from each other, and everybody learn from each other, and everybody collaborate and do things beyond us being in the room in the space. Thus, the continued connections that keep fostering and continuing going on. I said a mouthful. Mike is a good guy. I like Mike. Welcome, Mike, as well. Ray, we are going to answer your question. We do want to do a few housekeeping tips on things. Dr. Farron, you want to go through the housekeeping things that we're talking about? You want to start with?
Absolutely. Yes. The Work-Life Balance Summit is October 4th and 5th. If you click that QR code right there with your phone, that will take you to the event and you'll be able to see all of the presenters. We have 27 presenters, 26 sessions for you to attend. Right now, the early bird special is $75 for the 2-day event. After August 15th, I believe this Friday, it goes up to regular price. So grab your ticket now, October 4th and 5th. It is a virtual event. It's amazing. You're going to love it. When you scroll through and see these presenters that are presenting, you're going to recognize some of these people if you're active at all on LinkedIn, and you're going to be like, wow, this is like, cream of the crop here. This is some pretty amazing people. So check that out. We've got all kinds of sessions on self-care, like managing your social media, leadership, career. Some of the people that were in the audience are here. Brenda Lees will be presenting. Leslie Flowers will be presenting. Jackie Halberg will be presenting. TC is in the house and she'll be presenting as well. I'm seeing if I missed anybody else. Tina, yes, yes, and she's LinkedIn user. Tina Sasso, she is in the house and she'll be presenting as well. So really excited to have this. It's an amazing event. Share it out with people. You can talk to your work and ask them to pay for it for you to come. Especially if they're talking burnout or they're talking different things like kind of that workplace culture. Take it to them. Say, hey, I've got a great event that we can spend, X number of dollars for it. Yep, we can drop that link in for you, Mandy. Absolutely.
It's in the chat. I think Christy put it in there. You can go in the chat and click the link and go straight to it. Also, it is go get your job to pay for it. Ask them to pay for it for your entire team. Go to creativelivingideas.com. You can also get it there as well. And it's a great opportunity as well to get the summit. The tickets actually do go up higher in price on Saturday. So get the ticket now. Don't wait. Get your whole job to participate in the particular summit.
And you can pay for one day too. I'm sorry, Damien. You can purchase 1-day ticket if you want to just come for one day, but it's really a great event. It's a Zoom event. It's on Zoom. So you're at home as long as you have a free Zoom account. It's really a neat platform. So go in and look at it, click around on it and see who the presenters are. You can see their bios. It's pretty cool. Then once you pay for it, you can kind of bookmark the sessions you want to go to. It'll send send you emails to from Zoom events to remind you. So it's really a great platform. Very user
And it
friendly.
makes sense to buy a 2-day ticket now before Saturday versus buying a 1-day pass.
Yes.
So, and then we also have this where both of you ladies are in, and myself.
Yes, this is the Helpful Living magazine. This is still on sale. You can find it at the actually on 2 different places. You can find it on the creativelivingIdeas.com website, and it is the magazine of our presenters from the Virtual Wellness Summit. So a little bit of information on them, what they presented about. You'll love it. Grab it. You can grab a digital copy. You can grab a hard copy, and then it's also on the 2350 Network website. So it's in 2 different places that you can grab it. So grab a copy of it. It's very beautifully done, and the articles are amazing. Some great presenters with bios that you can reach out to that will help you on your journey. We had really amazing responses from the summit, how much it really helped people grow and learn.
Jamie put together, like, it's a work of art.
It's
Honestly.
beautiful.
The way that she puts that magazine together, she is an artist, and her story of just making it something that's very family oriented and everything. It's beautiful.
It is really
I'm
beautiful.
honored to be a part of it.
Thank you. We're happy that you're on it as well.
Yeah.
I have to get myself another copy. My mom stole mine. She just took it right out of the house. And she said, you can just buy another one. I'm taking this.
I had to order mine. Like, my mom, I just shipped it straight to her house. You just get your own
Damien's
copy.
got his hard copy of it too. I know. I've got to order another one. And
Yes.
this is on sale right now still. So hang in there, because we're going to have more fun things for you to get down the road. It's kind of a little secret, but it's coming soon.
Love it.
Damien, you want to talk about this? You want me to talk about this? You want me
I
to keep
got it.
going
I'll
on?
do it.
All right, you do it.
So the 2350 Network, it is definitely a networking group with so many things going on. We have Leslie Flowers, who is definitely in the building today, who will be doing our Lunch and Learn on Monday. It is for members only. Sorry, if you're not a 2350 member, you need to become a 2350 member. We have Leadership and Lemonade, Lunch and Learns. We have social events. We have so many things going on in the 2350 Network. And it's not just limited to that. The Effect is part of the 2350 Network. We have our virtual campus. This is the lobby of the virtual campus. This is our campus courtyard. Here's the auditorium. Here's the community room where myself, Brenda Lees, and Kinga was talking for like 45 minutes until we moved to another room, and we talked for another 45 minutes. Here's our own virtual pool room. Here's my office. Here's when me and Dr. Farron were sitting down and talking and brainstorming after Leadership and Lemonade during the 2350 Network. We have events that go on monthly, and these are the things to become a member. These are some of the perks of being a member of a 2350 Network. And there's the link to actually get into the membership of 2350 Network. Dr. Farron, you want to pull up the actual site?
Yes, I can do that. I also want to say too, so onto this topic of entrepreneurship while I'm pulling this up, when I started the Work-Life Balance Summit last fall, it was July, it was something like that. And I said to Damien, do you have a minute? Can I talk to you? Some of you probably have heard this before. Sorry, I'm going to the right place. I can't type and talk, but I said, I just want to bounce some ideas off of you. So like a benefit of being a part of the network is that you have this campus available to you. You don't have to make an appointment with me or Damien. You don't have to be there on a scheduled time. I can say to Kinga, hey Kinga, do you want to meet? Do you have 10 minutes today? Let's jump into the campus. Let's meet in a space. We can chat. I can bounce ideas off of her. You have access to the members. And when you are an entrepreneur, you sort of feel like an island. Sometimes your outer circle doesn't really know what you're doing. And so this network is amazing. I'm ready to share, Damien, if you want to go ahead and click that to present. So this is the website for the 2350 Network. This is that behind the scenes stuff that Damien and I have spent a lot of time working on, is creating this space. And so when you pull up the website, you're able to see the mission and vision mission, the brand values, you can click this right here to join the 2350 network. You fill out a form. Damien and I get back to you in a week or so. After that, we review the forms every week. And then, when you're accepted, we send you that acceptance. There is a fee for it. It's very reasonable for it. You can choose yearly or monthly. And then this is us and an email for us to connect. So it's really amazing and incredible. I want to go into this member feature because it's beautiful. And our beautiful Jamie, who is part of our network, is our member feature this month for helping us create this amazing magazine for our virtual wellness summit. So she is our member spotlight. So you can be hosted as a member spotlight on here. We also have a calendar of events that we have scheduled. And so they're all in the campus. Again, we've got we have Lunch and Learn on Monday. So we're here in August. So we've planned out, we've got additional events to add in these months, but we are planning every quarter out in advance. And of course, the 2350 effect. So being part of a member also gets you an opportunity to be a part of our show. So if you have, a service that you're doing, or you're working on some type of humanitarian project or something along that, you can talk to Damien and I, and we can try and get you fit into one of our slots. So really amazing information here and a beautiful site for you.
And it's not just for entrepreneurs. Coach Lee, it's for everyone, and it is like Richard. Thank you for coming. It is on the Go Brunch space on the 2350 network. And we did have a question that came from. Thank you, Dr. Farron, for sharing that. We did have a question from Ray about entrepreneurship and when do you do entrepreneurship and make the decision to jump. Any thoughts on that? I have my thoughts.
I'll go first. I'll say that entrepreneurship there has to be something that you want to sell. It could be a service or it could be a product, and you have a lot of passion towards it, and at the same time you understand that there's going to be a lot of uncertainty coming as part of entrepreneurship. I would say to people, make the decision when deep down inside, and you have even though I didn't have a plan, I did have a plan in my mind. I knew what I wanted to do. You have to know why you're doing it, number one, what it is that you're gonna be differentiating yourself with, and then create a plan. Not everybody has the luxury of creating a plan, which was my case. However, that should not stop you. I think it's important to also sit down and recognize your finances, because I had the luxury that I had some savings and I had a good severance package, that actually I sat down and we made some decisions as a family to extend our savings even a little bit further to give us a cushion so we wouldn't be feeling like we were going to be drowning. So I think it's important, the mental component. It's important what you're going to do and why, the why and what, and then the how you're going to do it. Because yes, entrepreneurship comes with a lot of ups and downs, and income is not consistent at the beginning.
I agree with Leslie Flowers too, and you.
Absolutely. If you're in corporate, don't wait like I did. Start, create your plan. I mean, 5 hours that you can spend in your business in corporate, it's going to create the foundation that you need. So the moment you make that jump and you're ready, then you do it. I met some big business coaches that say and recommend that don't quit your job until you are generating at least 70% of your old income. That's like a good rule of thumb.
That sounds like real sound advice. It does. Yes. It sounds like sound advice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get the opportunity to do that, but yes, if you can, start when you're in corporate. or when you have a job?
I would like to echo just in general, whether things are very unstable, we'll all recognize that in general, right? And so I have been trying to encourage friends to just become involved, because thinking about whether it's entrepreneurship, your next phase in life, whether you're navigating, going back to the topic that I presented at the Wellness Summit, which was navigating your community through curiosity, no matter what you're navigating, entrepreneurship, job, growth stage, it doesn't matter. There are different needs that you're going to have. And so thinking in terms of, here we have LinkedIn, which is so much more than a job searching platform, and encouraging one another to see it that way and saying, we have great people that are putting themselves out there. This is right now a pivotal point where we are still pretty accessible. And there's going to be a shift where it's going to be harder to find quality people. It's going to be hard to kind of weed through things. And so right now, while we're kind of still able to sift through all of this information, it's a great time to get involved. It's a great time to seek one another out and to be active and involved. And so I'm just grateful that I get to be here for that time. For me, I just, I feel like I was very fortunate. And I think that the more people that, whether you're doing an entrepreneurship journey or not, to dedicate a little bit of time in your schedule to start creating your reputation. Because whether it's reputation or it's whatever, you're building your history, you're building some credibility, you're building your presence, you're building relationships, and you're building that network where you can start tapping into, and it is that energy investment. It's putting into the world, it's giving a little bit into the world that I do believe is important to invest in. So where you decide to jump is going to be up to you, and you're going to have a lot more control. And for me, it's always better to have choices in your life. I think about, and I just have to share this quick story, is when I was preparing, I actually was not preparing for college. I was just being a kid, getting, going through, bobbling around through high school. And my dad took the Barron's Book of Colleges, which was this college. It had every single college in the entire United States in a book form. And it had kind of their profile. And it was like this big. And he slaps it down in front of me and says, "Which one are you going to?" And I was like, "Huh? What do you mean?" And he's like, "You're going to have to pick. You're going to do something next year. You're not just going to live here, and you're going to have to pick." And he wasn't even saying I had to go to college, but I had to make a decision. And he's like, "I suggest you start applying because you're going to want choices." and I was like, "Huh?" He's like, it's going to be your options that you create. And he's like, the more options you create, the more options you have. And I was like, wow, okay. It was like, get the applications going, And I realized that in all avenues of life, the more options we create, why limit ourselves? And so that's the way I view networking. Why would we limit ourselves? Why would we ever do that? It doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, start now. Don't limit yourself.
Absolutely. And I feel like what you were saying was making me think of Mandy Mahaffey's first comment that she said, "I'm a newbie to entrepreneurship here." And that is exactly where we all were. I was there 4 years ago, and I remember talking to a group of friends who were super excited about my first book and said, "We're going to do a book signing. We're going to do this. You know what you need to do, Tanya? You need to do videos." And I was like, no way. I am not going to be on a video. no, I can't. And she's like, well, just show your hands, just do your hand. And I remember, taking that encouragement and taking those baby steps to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. It's, it takes time and courage and support. And, your dad was so profound in saying, well, you're going to want choices. So try all of this. Like, look at all of these pieces and see what you want. And so that would be some advice to like a new entrepreneur, like what you believe that you can do inside of you and what you're eventually will transition to getting to are going to be two different things when you look back where you started.
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer of that's so true, Dr. Farron, what you just said. And I'm also a firm believer you have to do what works for you. What works for somebody else might not work for you. Sometimes you'll get individuals who will tell you that, you know what, you gotta go all in. And they might have to have gone all in because it wouldn't have worked that way. And it does work that way for people. Sometimes you have to, like Dr. Marcia said, and somebody else was talking about, I think it was Leslie saying, don't wait, just start the process. I know people who I work with somebody who mentored me. He had 4 jobs. We worked at the same job. He had 4 jobs. He had 2 full-time jobs. He had an investment job and a side job. And you even think about billionaires, they have their day job, their passion job, and their investment jobs. So, it's not either or. You don't have to quit your day job. If you want to leave your day job, great. For you, if you want to stay on your day job forever and have your side job or your own entrepreneurship investment jobs too, whatever works for you, you have to figure out what works for you. Because even when we're talking about work-life balance, your ability to balance and multitask doesn't look the same with everyone else. When we even talking about work-life balance, a lot of times we have these conversations. People think it's this. It's 50-50. Your balance can be this. It can be 70-20, 60-40, whatever kind of works for you. If it's 50-50, great. Whatever works for you. So that's my opinion on that situation. Dr. Karen, you want to ask the last question before you go into our quote?
Sure. I don't know what I want the last question to be.
Unless you want to throw it to them to ask a question.
Oh, I want them to ask a question? Is that what you said to me?
You can either ask a question or put it on one of them to ask a question.
I want to go into something over here, and let me ask this. So we're talking about beliefs. So let's just go to this question 7. You guys know the question 7. How do you not take on other people's beliefs and stay focused? And that's hard sometimes, because sometimes when you step out of your little circle, your norm of your life, there are people that are going to encourage you, and there are people that are going to discourage you or maybe not believe in you. So how do you do that? How do you handle and manage that? It's a tough question. I can tell they're thinking.
It is a tough question, and I know you sent it to us, and I saw it, but I'm like, we probably won't get to that question. All joke aside,
And I skipped all the way to the bottom.
no, I guess for me, this is multidimensional. Let's put it that way. And I don't want to complicate it, but here we go. So I love complicating things. Why not? I think it's important that you know yourself well. That's number one. You have to understand, like, what are the things that you're going to entertain other people to share with you? What are those things that you're going to respect them, but you're just going to walk away without thinking about it? But you have to know your boundaries. You have to know yourself very well. I think in my specific case, and I adore my dad to death, but he's one of those people that I give him less is better. Because if I start to go into the details of my business, he's gonna get like worried, and then all of a sudden he's gonna say, when are you going back to corporate? Right? So in order for me to kind of like limit the impact of the conversation, I know that in that specific case, less is better, right? Now, I've learned in entrepreneurship that everybody has an opinion, and everybody wants your business to be done their way, right? You are constantly gonna be sent messages from people. Hey, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, why aren't you doing that, I can help you with this. I think it's important. It goes back to your strategic roadmap, having a clear strategy of where you want your business to be within the first year, the second year, and the third year, and so on, helps you be able to say nope. All of this is coming from a place of love or money because they want their money in their pocket. And it's okay because this is not part of my plan. Does it fit my plan? Does it feed, like whatever people are saying, is it in alignment with me? If my body tells me, because I've gotten so good at listening to my body that my body will tell me that that's not in alignment, I would say, you know what, I'll listen to them out of respect, but then I'll do whatever I want to do.
Mhm.
It's all about knowing you, knowing your boundaries, having a clear strategy, and like respecting other people's opinions too, because it's okay for them to have an opinion, but you don't have to observe it. The more you know yourself, the better it will be.
I love that response. That's awesome. What do you have, Kinga? Your
Yeah,
response.
I mean, what she said, like seriously, it's so true. We have to honor what is right for us, and I think that is where we're headed. Is that we are finally really, like don't should all over me. You know, I don't need it anymore. We are, for those especially that are experienced enough, like we've kind of figured out. And when we are seeking advice, then we are seeking it. And I'm not saying that we're not open. We are totally talking about collaboration. We are absolutely open to it. And quite frankly, for those of us that are, maybe if I'm a community leader or if I'm doing certain things where I am responsible for somebody else's user journey or whatever, then I absolutely need your input into the business. But if I'm responsible for only my own, then there is a certain amount where you can say, okay, that is just your feedback and I don't need it as much. And so understanding where that boundary is. And I think that there is a level of what's the word I'm looking for? But when we have this distance where some people, though, are also forgetting that they are an entrepreneur, but that they do need to care about the customer journey because, and their idea of ROI and their idea of, I should be giving that feedback and that input and my opinion because I am a customer and I want you to see it from my perspective, as a customer perspective. And so as an entrepreneur, that might be like B2C and versus, there is some of that that's happening, I think, especially as we have a lot of coaches. And so there's a lot of pressure that people are feeling, and a lot of people giving a lot of feedback in strange. And so there's a lot of tension and pressures that are happening in the world, I think, right now. But I love Brenda Lee's stance on it, where, it's like, when it comes to me and my life, this is how I'm clear in what I'm trying to do. So yeah, like she said.
I want to add something else because I was looking at the comments and Mandy had a couple of good comments there. Questions. One of the practices I have actually embraced, and I love Dr. Dane Hare. If you don't know who he is, Google him, or send me a note, and I'll send you the link to his book, or a link to where he publishes things, etc., etc. He's pretty cool and he's pretty amazing. And one of the things he encourages people to do is ask yourself the question: who does this belong to? So when I have someone who reaches out to me with negative feedback, or maybe they're on a reactive side, or maybe they're trying to put things, push things to me that I don't necessarily agree with, instead of getting reactive and instead of getting to a point where I start to doubt myself, I just take a step back and ask myself the question, who does this belong to? Is it mine, or is it them, or is it somebody else? And if you ask yourself, is this somebody else? And that moment you actually start to feel like the weight being lifted from your shoulders, you know what? With a lot of love and consciousness awareness, I send it back to the owner. I don't need to keep it. And it's changed my life dramatically, to the point that any people can come to me and tell me anything they want, and I will not take it personally, because I've been building myself up, and that question changes lives.
I love that. Thank you so much for answering that. Great information for our audience. I absolutely love that from two pretty strong professionals. So well, I wouldn't say pretty strong professionals in lots of areas. So that feedback is important for other people to understand.
I think it's a great conversation. It has so many layers, and I thank both of y'all for sharing that. It's kind of like, and I love how Kinga talked about is sometimes you got to sit back and look at it from, is it coming from a consumer's perspective, and not necessarily someone giving you advice as a leader. And same thing with you, Brenda Lee, saying that if they're coming from a leadership perspective, and they're coming from, is it theirs? Like, leave it with them. And I like that. I always think of it from the perspective of somebody saying it to me, and are they my ideal like audience or consumer? And then the other part, I think of it because I understand. I coach football, basketball, and I understand music. If I ask them what a mic is, and they have no clue what that is, or hedge is in basketball, they have no clue what that is, or two track, then you're probably just coming from the eyes of a consumer and not a person who understands. And if you know football, the mic is a middle linebacker, and a hedge is when the person holds the person on the pick and roll, and the two track is to double the track on the box. So that's how it layers out the sound sonically, where you hear a full track on the radio. So they track it up. So that's kind of where I go from that perspective of whatever your niche and field is. If they can't answer those questions back to you, they're probably coming from a consumer aspect. So just look at them as a consumer position. So with that said, please, before we get to our last complete segment, tell people what do y'all have going on, where they can connect with y'all, and what y'all doing, because I know y'all doing so many things.
So for me, I am, always working on something. Lately, I have been writing a lot of Forbes contribution type stuff, but really they're, working on, I have an agile group that I am kicking up with those folks there. And so that's been taking up quite a bit of my time. Really loving that though. It's a great group of folks in the Coaches Council there. And I am launching I've been iterating on so many different things. It keeps churning because new opportunities just keep coming my way. There's a program that I am thinking about launching that has more to do with observing some CEO programs. So have that going on, as well as really kind of getting more into the mid-sized market now with tech and marketing businesses. So kind of making a little bit of a transition shift there. And that's pretty much it. ExecuteYourIntentions.com. I am always active on LinkedIn, as you know, so you can find me there.
Brenda Lee's.
Wow, I have so much going on. And as you were talking, I'm like, oh, I have this, I have that, I have that, I have that. I'm like, what am I going to share? Well, every other Monday, I host a room that it's called Her Journey, Her Way. And I interview women that have made the transition from corporate to founder. So you'll find me tomorrow night there. Then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I host an audio room that is very short. It's like 15 to 20 minutes, where it's just basically a moment for us to all breathe together and reset our breath, reset our day. And then on Fridays, I have this audio room that it's basically the Latinas Woman Circle. And it's basically focused on no more burnout, or no más burnout, or libre de burnout, to be free from burnout. So I'm really focused on burnout and breath, and using ways to really impact our belief system and our deepest programming. So I'm in the process of launching. I did a pilot in the last month for it was called the Breath Circle. It's no longer called the Breath Circle. It's gonna be called Elevate 90. It's basically 90 days to elevate your life, and basically be free from burnout. And it's targeting women who are experiencing burnout. Yeah, I have a lot going on, but a lot of great things happening. The feedback from that program has been pretty incredible and amazing. So I can't wait to do the big launch.
Excellent. So if you're not following either of these two ladies, check out what they're doing, follow them, see what's going on. They're just amazing. So, and they're both in the 2350 network. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Farron, you're doing AI all week, right?
I am. I decided to do a master class this week. So I have another thing that I do is I help people understand how to use Ruby AI. And so I have a master class every day, Monday through Thursday at 4:30 Central Time. So join me. You can check that out, as well as the rest of the stuff, the 2350 network, the Work-Life Balance Summit, parenting, all kinds of fun stuff. Just dig in there. That's fun. It's always fun just to dig into somebody's social and see what's going on. Dig in there. Have fun.
And I love this conversation. You see how long it lasted. Go back and watch the first one. This is part 2 of it. But we always end with
quotes. Are kind of my favorite. This was kind of my request at the end. I do like having quotes. I have them all over my house, all over my desk. Quotes, affirmations, whatever you want to call it. Can I go first?
Sure.
Okay. So I was thinking of, kind of leadership collaboration. So this is a quote that I really like. The role of a leader is not to come up with all of the great ideas. The role of the leader is to create an environment which great ideas can happen. Simon Sinek. So love that quote. So those of you in the audience, if you have a quote, drop it in. That's your favorite. We'd love to hear it. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. I always like to say your success is my success and my success is your success. That is what I am aiming for, as we all just are in it together.
I love that.
Brenda Lees.
Okay, I have to keep it in alignment to breath, of course. So breathe, let go, and remind yourself that this very moment is the only one you have for sure. Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, I love that.
Nice. Mine's as simple as the premise of this whole show. Don't let 5 or 10 minutes of a bad day disrupt the other 2350 of your day, which is the 23 hours and 50 minutes that are left. So with that said, I'd like to thank everyone for showing up and joining us with this discussion. We had Coach Brenda Lees. She went from Coach B to Coach Brenda Lees. Kinga. We had Dr. Tanya Farron here. There's great conversation, the discussion. This can be part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The way we talk, it's easy to have a conversation with each other. I am gonna play we do have the trailer for the Work-Life Balance Summit, so I am gonna play that before the exit of it. And we're here every week at 8 p.m. And next week we have a special treat of individuals. So look out for that. So with that said, look at the trailer for the Work-Life Balance Summit. Bye.
Thank you for attending the 2350 Effect. If you are interested in becoming a guest or a sponsor, please contact Damien or Dr. Tanya. Join us every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the 2350 Effect.